Oh my gosh, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Shadow the Script podcast. Now, it has been a long time. It really has. It's been over a month, I believe 4 or 5 weeks since we last released an episode. And we've said multiple times, on social media, hey, by the way, we're on X, we're on Twitter, banging away at some tweets, throwing some characters out there and stuff. So believe us on that we are extremely. I tweet probably 30, 40 times a day on there, and we're up to close to 200 followers, might be 200 by now, in a matter of less than a little over a month. So just a lot of people are kind of starting to realize what we're trying to do here, what we're trying to accomplish, even without the episodes. And the what stopped the episodes, and I guess we can get a little transparent here. What stopped the episodes was a plethora of things, and we'll get into this. That way, you guys don't feel like you're left out, hanging out to dry, as if we abandoned the episodes. I know there are some fans out there that do enjoy listening to our stuff and like the authenticity of it, and us kind of giving our own takes with me and the Rook and the Kid. Well, that's not going away. I can promise you that. There's a plethora of reasons why we haven't done an episode as of late. Now, reason number one, if you guys have been with us since the beginning, you remember last year that we took kind of a debrief, a break to do the off season. So we kind of got sidetracked with different topics. We got into politics a little bit. We got into conspiracy theories a little bit. I got some of my brothers and friends as guests on the podcast every now and then. And then at the same time, we also did a relaunch to where we were strictly on Spotify, which then became Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts periodically throughout the year. To whereas now we are on all three platforms simultaneously. And I honestly can't argue which one's better and which one's worse. I mean, when we were live streaming on YouTube when we first started, we were getting close to 100 views per live stream. Now that we've done consistent episodes for a full, football season, it varied between, all across the board. It was better, but it was like, what if we condensed it to just one social media outlet? How good would that go? And honestly, don't know, but I do like that everybody can access it. You can watch the video on Spotify, you can listen to it on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, and you can watch it on YouTube. Me personally, I just don't operate YouTube. I just don't. I don't really ever use it. If I use it for anything, it is to screen record memes and then fuck off. So that for me, it's like if I know a lot of people like YouTube, so I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. So that was reason number one. It was just there wasn't a lot of topics out there in the off season. We're primarily a football brand. But going into this year, there's a lot of anticipation with a lot of new stuff coming out there, such as college football. We're going to get into a lot of college football, NCAA football 25, the video game coming out in, I believe, less than a week now. The SEC getting bigger with the University of Texas and Oklahoma coming in there, all these different things. And we're going to get into that this fall and hammering it down, with the medical guy and the analyst whenever they are available. We're going to have some in-person guests, years to come. That stuff is all in the works. So you got to think in terms of not months or a year. You got to think in terms of years. This is a project that, I see as a hobby right now. It's not a job. I have a career, and this is something that's a dream scenario that I'm going to chase until I'm like burnt out. And I'm never burnt out on talking sports. So you guys can count on me showing up in front of this camera like I am now. A lot of the offices don't have power right now. So I'm just like, hey, let's get an episode out there. So yeah, reason number one, there's not a lot of topics. We're primarily NFL branch and a lot of NBA and stuff. We felt like our audience didn't really relate to that. But then at the same time, me and Hunter, the kid, wanted to do a lot of the stuff that we thought was interesting. We covered Andrew Tate, I believe, once. We covered COVID vaccine. We just thought it was interesting. Fast forward into the football season, that was a blast, and we missed the kid on a lot of those. He was warming up for what he's doing currently. But yeah, that's the second reason that we haven't done any episodes as of late. Honestly, it's because of a lot of different reasons, such as, well, let me restart. I'm trying to think of why it would, because we did a second. It's tough because I feel like I just covered like all 8 reasons why, and I summarized it into one, but that was basically the second reason. Oh my God, there we go. Sorry. The second reason is because of the quality of the episode's appearance. So I actually liked it more when we were on here doing a video chat, like it is now. The camera's very clear. You can see me in, almost 4K. The mic is perfect, but we have all of the equipment to do in-person guests, in-person episodes, and have me and Hunter interact in a perfect setting. What we don't have is the studio setting to represent that equipment. So we sit there and the sound is echoing everywhere. I've looked into this. I know why it's doing that, but I just don't like it. Me and Hunter voiced our frustration to each other, and we're like trying to find ways to solve this issue. And there's just not a lot of good ways to do it when you're recording in a wide open space on hardwood floors. That's the technicality of it. Not to say we thought our content was brilliant. We really did. Me and him, and we're going to continue doing stuff like that. Me and him, we thought we were cooking. We loved what we were doing. We were exploring areas that our fans hadn't seen us explore before. I got a little touch on NBA, and people to set the record straight on that. I'm not like I never watched NBA my entire life. I don't know how basketball works. No, I've paid very close attention to the NBA when I was growing up. I just clocked out right before the bubble. I have a very distasteful disinterest in the sport. And I'll probably get into that here in a second, with the guys like Bronny James and things like that. But, those things, I am not I don't take a huge interest in them. However, when the Mavericks are in, when your state is repping the NBA Finals, when they honestly shouldn't be there, we felt like it was necessary. We should cover it. Let alone like the Celtics having a super team, having a Mickey Mouse playoff run and then winning, and then cornball Jason Tatum gets out there and says anything's possible. And he's, mimicking all these people, which I commented on all over Twitter. So you guys can check that out. But I know a lot of people don't like to use Twitter, but I can't share those things on TikTok and Instagram. And the TikTok and Instagram algorithm is terrible. It really is. You really have to. I don't even know how to operate it. So in those releasing those video episodes for like in person, I had the clips. I was going to post them. I just didn't see the point in posting clips, getting 78 views on TikTok or 42 on Instagram, and then kind of looking like an embarrassment on social media when I can operate X or Twitter. If you're unfamiliar, you should know what X is by now, but operate on X. I can delegate the account to all four or all three of our other members. So all four of us can operate that account and say what we want to say, talk about what we want to talk about. And it has seen exponential growth in just a month. When we gathered just over 200 followers on Instagram in a little over a year and a half, we gathered over just about 200 followers in a month on X. That's why I've been on there and so adamant about, hey, you guys switch over, check us out on here. Share it with your friends. Just follow us on there. You don't even have to interact with us every day, but just for you to see, my sister-in-law says she sees our stuff all the time, thinks it's funny. I know that's a family member, but you're like, it's there. The algorithm shows us there. And it's worth every penny, So, and I've enjoyed it. I've gotten I'll probably go through the highlights here in a minute and just kind of explore my thoughts with it. So those are the two primary reasons why there has been an episode in the last 4 or 5 weeks. And it took me 10 minutes to break that down, but I wanted to be transparent with you guys because I know there's some fans, out there that kind of wondering where we're at. Well, we haven't disappeared. We talk about the podcast almost every week. At least once or twice a week, we're talking about it as my right eye is itching into oblivion. And we're constantly coming up with new ideas, and we have a plan, and we understand that the plan's not going to explode in 2 days. We're not going to hit the algorithm in a day and go, oh my God, now we're famous. We're not also looking for fame either. We want an authentic, real, shatter the script platform that goes against the grain of the mainstream media so we can speak our minds and tell the truth. I'll give you a prime example of this was when Eric Bieniemy was hired as a Washington Commanders new offensive coordinator after everybody was just outraged at the fact that he couldn't get a head coaching job. Then to come into fruition that he wouldn't even keep the offense coordinator spot and was kicked out by Cliff Kingsbury this year. And then Dan Quinn succeeded him as head coach, leaving Dallas. But we stood on that saying this is not racism. This is pure facts. I talked about his job. I believe it was at Colorado. In college, he was not very successful. The offense got worse after he got there. That Andy Reid was a true mastermind. I can go into it all over again. But that kind of stuff we like to do. We like to say, that's bullshit. Hold on a minute. This is the truth. This is the facts. You can't argue with it because it's not feelings. It's not racist. It's not any of those things that the mainstream media wants to paint it to be. So that's our identity. That's our niche. And we want to share that with people because we feel like not a lot of people do it. I get it. There are athletes out there that have their podcasts and they've got their names, implanted in Canton, Ohio, and they can just air one episode one day and it gets 150,000 views day one. I get it. But what kind of questions are they asking in there? You get the real authentic, hey, how do you feel about lining up with Sauce Gardner, CD Lamb? And he'll tell you. Okay, or give me your top 5 quarterbacks, Tyreek Hill or CJ Stroud or whatever, and those clips go viral. Well, that we'll leave that for them. You can discuss who's your top 5 quarterback any day of the week. We could have hopped on this podcast and every week say, all right, week 1, top 5 quarterbacks, week 2, top 5 receivers. We just felt like we were pushing an episode that was unnecessary. I mean, it's completely unnecessary. We're going to get to football when football happens. We're not just going to talk football all year long. There's other things going on, and the one thing that I think me and him regret even covering, even though we hammered the shit out of it in one of our previous episodes, was the Caitlin Clark situation. I mean, in reality, do me and him really actually give a shit? Not really. I really could care less about WNBA, and my feed is filled with it. Angel Reese breaking the double record for a fucking rookie in the WNBA. And then you look at the film, and she's chalking up the stats late in the game with 8 seconds left, up by 10, and you're like, well, okay, this is all fabricated. If this account did not post this video, and it's not even the official WNBA account, then no one would have fucking looked at it and said, hold on. And then with the Caitlin Clark scenario, it's just a woman playing basketball, and she has changed the game, and I give her credit for that 1,000%. But we're acting like, she's the Messiah in the Passion of the Christ, that she needs to be ostracized on her way up to the podium, that every single decision she makes is going to be criticized or supported. And then you get political commentators going in there talking their shit, and I've called them out too. And who do you think's supporting the Caitlin Clark scenario? Conservatives. That's right. And who do you think is, chalking up racism to Caitlin Clark? That's right. You guessed it. Anybody on there that has a problem with it, usually on the other side of the aisle of skin color, usually on the other side of the aisle of politics. There's two sides to everything. There is no ifs, no buts about it. And we fucking hated talking about it. We did. We said we were really sitting there. I mean, that was fun. We hammered into it, or that was cool. We handed not even fun. But it's like you get on X and it's like, oh, she has a special whistle. She get a call. Who gives a rip? You're not actually going to the game. You just have something clever to say on X or whatever. It's like, okay. So we don't feel like our audience wants to hear dick squat about Caitlin Clark, to be quite frank with you, or Angel Reese, or Kennedy Carter, or John F. Kennedy, whatever her name is, or Queefus Jr. Like, I don't care. I really don't. My audience, me and Hunter's audience, don't care about that sort of stuff. So we're not going to focus on it. And there's no reason to make an episode about it. And we can talk golf if you want. I mean, if you guys came up to me and I had multiple phone calls or fan mail or whatever, I got fan mail the other day and it said, fuck you. And I was like, I don't even know what this is for. Turns out it was my ex-girlfriend. But, what happens is we're sitting here talking about golf. And it's like, well, I can tell you that Bryson DeChambeau won the U.S. Open and move on. I mean, did you watch it? Yeah, he shot the best. Cool. And I love golf. Now, here's what we could talk about considering golf. Is when those no more oil, whatever the hell they are, retards, going out there spray painting the green. That's something to talk about. We didn't feel like we needed to, but it was like, the hell is this? What the hell? Any of these golf dudes They're just out there playing golf, and you ruin everybody's day. And that's all I'll say about that. It's as clear as day. Like, you just ruin. Nobody fucking likes you. I mean, you're like the F-350 on the road, riding everybody's ass, not using your blinker, crushing between, and no one likes you. And I like trucks, but nothing angers me more than seeing that or getting rode in the ass by a F-450. And you see it's a 16-year-old dude who doesn't deserve the car or whoever it is. You just want to step out of the vehicle and just slap him in the face with an iron baton and say, "Sleep, motherfucker." Like, it's aggravating, but we see these clips and we go, okay, potential for an episode. I don't know. It could be like a 20-minute episode, but is it really worth getting on for 20 minutes and talking about one topic and moving on? No, I don't think so. So, those plethora of reasons are why we're kind of holding off for a bit. Football's not going anywhere. The draft happened. We covered a little bit of the draft. We wanted to talk about those things. We brought in the medical guy and the analyst when the times are relevant. And now according to plan, we're transitioning into the NFL season coming this fall. And what's going to happen? We're not just a Dallas Cowboys podcast anymore. We basically strictly covered Dallas Cowboys and did some other predictions in the past. Well, now it's grand scheme of things here. We're going balls to the wall, full NFL, NCAA football in the fall. You know how big that's going to be? And with our talking points, we're not just going to be talking about who had the better stats. We're going to be talking about the shit that matters. Like, is Josh Allen the most talented quarterback in the NFL? Is he the modern day Aaron Rodgers? Does Patrick Mahomes get too much help from Andy Reid? Whatever you want to talk about, shatter the script, take risk, be controversial, and speak your mind. And if you're wrong, own it. That's what we're about. Last year, Hunter did not show up on a lot of podcasts. He shows up on a couple in the offseason, and he says, I tell you what, because he's been paying attention, and he's a student of the game. He said, I tell you what, I know this is fantasy football, but CeeDee Lamb is going to finish number 1 overall in fantasy football above the rest, above Jetta, above Jamar Chase, above Tyreek Hill. And what happened on that final week of the fantasy football season? You guessed it. CeeDee Lamb jumps to the number 1 spot in fantasy football. That does not take a casual to guess that. That does not take a casual. And to be from an understanding, to be from a point of understanding to say that, yes, he is a Dallas Cowboys fan, but me and him are both realists. Just because, honestly, me and him disagree about Dak Prescott, just because me and him have a difference of opinion and I like Dak Prescott as a quarterback does not mean I am biased by any means. I criticize Dak Prescott when he needs to be criticized. I criticize the team when they need to be criticized. But we're going to expand our widths into all forms of the NFL, to all forms of the NCAA football. 12-team playoff. Shit's about to get real. Texas in the SEC. Get fucked in Kyle Field, come November. Jim Schlossnagle, you're a pig. No, I'm just playing. But, it's just, we're so excited, and there is such a thing as burnout too. You get burnt out, like I said, with the algorithm. You're like, well, come on, man. Like, if nobody's listening right now, they're not going to listen to me talk about Caitlin Clark. There's no point. I'm not going anywhere. I'm on X. We're talking sports, whatever. We're talking what we think is relevant. But when football season comes around, guess who's tuning in? Our audience and more. So, and those episodes are releasing on X. Those episodes are releasing on all platforms. So when we get there and we have a Thursday episode where you get injury updates from the medical guy, who is I guess you can call a professional kind of guy, an expert in medical analysis, not to hype him up too much or glaze him, but the dude is excellent at his job. His contributions to this podcast are amazing. And we 100% believe that he has a spot in talking about this sort of thing on a 30-minute episode before the weekend gets started, before Thursday Night Football, where you can go to fantasy football and listen to that 30-minute episode and go, okay, these guys are hurt. This is the actual real diagnosis of his injury. Here's how the recovery time is. This is how I'm going to play my players this weekend. This is how I'm going to bet on my players this weekend. This is how I'm going to watch my players this weekend. That's the medical guy's contribution right there. Then you move to the analyst, who covers all things statistical analysis, and he doesn't just give you, completion percentage and all that. No, he goes to the expert additional stuff that you have to dig to find. That way, when it lays it out on a silver platter on these episodes, you understand how this dude can contribute to your fantasy team, how this dude can contribute to your team every Sunday and why these players aren't top 10 versus the other. And here's the reality of the situation. That's what the analyst brings to our podcast. Now, could anybody do the statistical analysis stuff? No, actually, they can't, because not everybody looks at the completion, the five main ones or whatever. I might even not even get to five. Completion percentage, passer rating, touchdown interceptions ratio, wins and losses, and Super Bowls. It ain't about that. There's a whole lot more to the story than that. I bet you a Packers fan can tell you in 30 minutes or more why the hell Aaron Rodgers has only one Super Bowl. It ain't that simple. He's a great quarterback. Now, a casual might say, was he chokes in the playoffs? No. But don't let's not do that. So, there's a whole lot more to the story than Aaron Rodgers. Baker Mayfield. Oh, he's trash. Oh, well, then he gets some weapons, and then he has a Pro Bowl year, leads his team, to win the division. It was a weak division, but he played very well all year. Does he suck? Does he sound like he sucks? No. Daniel Jones. I've had many arguments about it. I personally don't believe that he is worth a crap. But this year, they're finally getting him some weapons. They drafted him some good ones. They got rid of Saquon, which is a big bullet to the knee, but we're at year 6, dude. You're at year 6, and your organization keyword, cannot support you. They can pay you, but they can't support you. Saquon, you were done dirty in New York. I don't blame you for leaving. And New York fans are all pissed and, yanking at the chain for Saquon Barkley being a traitor, when in reality, the brother was there and through thick and thin, and now he's going to go over to a championship team inside of your division. So have fun seeing him twice a year, with the Philadelphia Eagles. These things we're going to cover in depth. This isn't no casual, who's your top 5 quarterbacks. We might do a little bit of that, but I mean, my God, there's better things to talk about. There's more important issues. If some athlete goes out there and takes 2 knees instead of 1, you're like, well, hold on, is he gay or does he hate America? Like, those are the things we want to talk about. And of course, I'm joking, but look, we're really excited for this football season. There's a lot of cool things. The NFC East alone, that division is going to be interesting. There hasn't been a repeat winner in that division in a very long time. Dallas, you're asking this team to do a whole lot more with less, or else you're fired, sort of thing. And you're asking for a miracle. The Eagles, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. You got a GM that goes all in on all these players, and where does it get you? Jalen Hurts can only do so much, and you got 2 wide receivers that are paid. You got a quarterback that is paid. You got a running back that's now paid from the New York Giants. You got all these weapons. What's the excuse there? But people will defend Jalen Hurts' neck like he's the Messiah. It's just, those things are interesting. That's the kind of talk I want to talk about. What's the reality of the situation? And then my favorite, this is the one I'm most excited about, because we didn't talk about it last year, is NCAA football, college football. Like, this is one of the most exciting sports on the planet. And I know Copa America is going on right now. We had a malice at the Palace, and some Brazilians got into some altercation with some other Brazilians, or Uruguayans, or whatever they're called, in the stands. Nobody gives a shit about Copa America, so we're just going to move on. None of my audience gives a shit. I don't give a shit. Moving on. So college football, man. I mean, the SEC, that's the big dog. All the rest, they're just kind of out to dry. They're going to have their easy schedules, maybe go 9-10 wins. Like Iowa is going to be, a Big Ten winner, whatever the fuck their division is. And, win 9 or 10 games a year, but have the worst ranked offense. Those sort of things are going to be talked about. Colorado going 4-8 last year. They're ranked number 16 or 17 in NCAA 25, the video game. They're saying that they're everybody's Super Bowl. My brother, you ain't the Dallas Cowboys of the college football world. Alabama is. With Nick Saban, it's a little different now, but with Alabama, it was like, oh, we could hang with Alabama. Well, that's the standard. You're not the standard, Colorado. You're the standard for fake hype, like LeVar Ball type shit, where we look at you and go, oh, shut the hell up, please. You're not entertaining. I don't tune into college football to watch you play Colorado State. I don't give a shit. I don't care if Deion Sanders is I didn't care when Deion Sanders was the head coach of Jackson State. I don't care that he's the coach of Colorado. The only thing he does is hurt his son's reputation. End all be all. And they're gonna throw his song in there in the video game, act like it's some cool shit. Bust on my AP. Yeah, skip. Yeah, Colorado, man. that's going to be a one that we're going to try to not talk about, but they're going to make headlines because it's Deion Sanders, and they're going to say some stupid shit when they play a good team and get boat raced by them, just like they did Oregon. I mean, my God, what are we looking at here? I used to get on for them overhyping Tennessee every year. Oh, Tennessee ranked top 10 in their way too early AP rankings, and they finished, 5-7. Now they're a pretty good, formidable, college football program. But hey, that's the kind of talk I want to talk about. The SEC is the powerhouse of the South. They are the mitochondria of college football. If you argue that, I promise you're on the wrong side of history. What people don't understand is when these other conferences beat the SEC, most of the time it is a bowl game that doesn't matter, where a lot of the SEC guys are draft eligible. They don't want to hurt their futures. They'd rather get paid millions, which you can do now in college football, but they weren't able to before. They'd rather make millions in the NFL and get a chance to go into the bigs. But then you got Sam Ehlinger saying, we're bad. Oh, it feels terrible. No, they just rested 50% of their starters. You're playing against 2s and 3s. So now for the 12-team playoff, a lot more of those games matter. That's 24 teams. That's practically the top 25 inside of I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. I'm thinking 12 v 12. Sorry. The top 12 teams in the college football playoff, that's a whole lot of opportunities. Now you can lose more than one game, most likely, depending on strength of schedule, and still have a shot. That way you don't hear Florida State chicks bitching. You don't hear, Notre Dame going, ugh. By the way, if you looked at Notre Dame's schedule this year, this is every year. They're going to win 11 games this year. People are going to think there's the bee's knees when their hardest opponent is Texas A&M. And yeah, that's my school, but that's your toughest opponent. I know I saw Louisville in there somewhere, and I think there's like 3 good teams in there that were ranked last year. The rest is like, Northern Illinois and stuff like that. So yeah, Notre Dame is going to be another overhyped brand that is an independent that needs to be a part of a conference. That way they can get their boat raced. But it frustrates me that they're probably going to make the 12-team playoff no matter what, just because of their schedule. Literally just because of their schedule. And Riley Leonard, the quarterback that transferred over there from Duke, we got their coach Mike Elko at Texas A&M now. He's probably going to do great things for the defensive side of the ball. We got a great offensive coordinator, Colin Klein, from Kansas State, the former Heisman Trophy winner. That guy is going to be coaching the offense at Texas A&M. Probably a lot of good run schemes are going to be coming your way in Aggie land this fall. But, Riley Leonard transferred from Duke over to Notre Dame. We're going to play them week 1 on College Game Day. That's a great game. That is that's a headline game. But that's the only team Notre Dame's going to play. And Riley Leonard's a great quarterback. I think he's going to be if he's eligible for the draft in the next 2 years, which I imagine he is, and he stays healthy, I believe he's going to be a round 1 to 3 pick. Absolutely. I think he has the talent to be so. And way too early rankings, Connor Weigman, Texas A&M Aggie, starting quarterback, he's a lot better than people give him credit for. He played a very little portion of his first year and a very little portion of his sophomore year, where we saw some very good production from him until he got hurt. So, and that was under Jimbo Fisher, the quarterback destroyer, as I call him. Have you ever seen that stupid robotic arm motion that all of his quarterbacks do? He ruined like 3 or 4 great prospects, and overhyped Kellen Mond when he was there, which he was a hot pack of ass. But you had Haynes King come in there, you had Calzada come in there. Well, Haynes King went to Georgia Tech, but they run 90% of the time. Zach Calzada went all the way to, I believe it was Incarnate Word in the Southland Conference. Which, no disrespect, but if you go from the SEC to the Southland Conference as a second or third string, my bro, what are we doing recruiting this guy? So, it baffles me that A&M has not found a quarterback. But to get back on track, there's a lot of, very anticipated games. For instance, the one I know, again, we're sticking with A&M here, Texas A&M versus the Texas Longhorns. This is come on. This is the long-awaited rivalry of the century. I don't think you're going to get a bigger game than this for the next 10 years. And you have to really think about what I just said there. This is a long-awaited rivalry that we have not seen in forever. And now they're in the biggest conference in college football and one of the largest environments in college football, the loudest environments in college football, being Kyle Field. Welcome to the SEC, Texas Longhorns. You can't come in here and say you already own the conference. You still got to play everybody. And your team is really good on paper. So we'll see. I think they're going to have a pretty good year. But that game ain't no cakewalk. And I think it's the most anticipated game of the year. Tickets are probably already sold out. I probably won't be able to go. I'll probably be around. But, I mean, my God. But the other one, and I was talking to my uncle about this on 4th of July, and I had no idea about this because I'm kind of a young buck. I was 4 or 5 years old when this happened. And I may have to double check my year. I believe it was 2005. LSU, USC, and Oklahoma are top 3 contending for the national championship. LSU in the AP rankings gets ahead of USC and plays Oklahoma in the national championship and wins. LSU crowned national champions. You would think, but no, Pete Carroll and the USC Trojans start bitching and whining about how they were actually the champions. And the AP voted and said, yeah, you know what? They're kind of right. Let's give it to them. The AP national championships or national champions are the USC Trojans when LSU was the one that hoisted the trophy. So LSU has a trophy in their trophy room that says national champions 2005, and USC was the actual one who didn't even play in a national championship. Well, USC has been ducking and dodging LSU ever since 2005. They have not played each other since then, but have had opportunities to do so. Well, guess who they're playing week 1 this year? LSU. LSU versus USC. Now, that is a big game. That is something that everybody should tune into. A lot of people probably don't know that history. Kind of the old guns probably know that more than the young guns like myself. But that fires me up. I'm like, hey, come on. I'm not a big LSU guy. I think they're nasty people, but, and they own that. I want to watch this game, and I hope LSU kicks the shit out of them. No doubt. Like, I don't like USC, but USC's got another dog at quarterback, so be ready for that hype. I mean, what's his name? Lincoln Riley does not miss on quarterbacks, man. So congratulations to Caleb Williams getting drafted number 1 overall. You have been replaced by a quarterback that threw for like 500 yards when you were, sitting out or hurt, whatever it was. Highly anticipated game. So tune in for LSU versus USC week 1, come whatever it is, September. So, dude, college football, big primary topics coming into the football season. But here's how the platform's going to be. Let's get into this. Here's how the platform of the podcast is going to go come this fall, and it's going to be busy. Like the way that we have it formatted, it's going to take all of us. Like the NFL used to say. Although we're not stopping bullying, we are doing the bullying. You got the Thursday NFL 30-minute episode, which might incorporate a little bit of college football now that I'm thinking about it, with the medical guy and the analyst and myself. And whether both of them join or not is primarily up to their schedules as their families are expanding. They will be a part of a 30-minute episode that kind of gets you up to speed on fantasy football, injuries, statistical analysis, bang, bang, boom, less than 30 minutes. Listen to it at work. Make your picks for Thursday Night Football and beyond. Saturday, there might be an episode Saturday morning when everybody's getting their morning coffee, getting ready for college game day, or right after college, during the day, during the games, we're talking about it. Those sorts of things, that kind of episode is going to be on Saturday. And, a lot of people are probably going to be doing stuff, but if nobody's going to be sitting there talking about it, then I'll be the one to do it if I'm not playing golf. So you got to keep in mind, so we're going to have college football episodes as well. And those will probably be, 30-minute episodes. That way it's quick and easy. We can get it out quick and have you guys up to speed for the hype behind College Game Day, which everybody loves locking in for the entire day. Then you have Sunday episodes. Now, this will depend on the strength of the itinerary for Sunday for NFL games. We have a really good prime time Sunday Night Football game. It'll be before that. If the primetime Sunday Night Football game isn't that good, but the Monday Night Football is. Most of the time we're going to be live streaming during the games on Sunday, reacting to catches, touchdowns, flags, the whole shebang at this particular part of the day. The most common gap that we're thinking is between 3 and 6 p.m., about an hour episode. That way we can get all the relevant topics out of the way during the podcast and then have that episode release either Monday or Tuesday so that you guys are aware. So if you tune into the live stream, you're catching it live. But then we release it. If you missed it because you're probably drinking with your friends watching football, at the start of the week, you get caught up and say, oh, I like what they said about this. The clips are out on social media. Bing, bang, boom. So let me run that back for you. Thursday, 30-minute episode with the medical guy and the analyst covering medical injury analysis and statistical analysis, 30 minutes. Saturday, most of the time, college football analysis, what's to come, the preview, predictions, bets, etc. Sunday, live stream during the NFL games. We're not showing the NFL games, but live stream during the NFL games, live reactions, takes, positions, shattering the script of the mainstream media. Aired for about an hour. Live recording released Monday or Tuesday as well on all platforms. That's the gist of it, folks. So that's what we're hyped for this upcoming fall. So I'm excited. I really am. And I'm glad I came on here and I had the time to talk to everybody today. I hope everybody in Texas is safe. Where the Hurricane Beryl that came through was a Cat 1 and not a lot of people still have power. Thankfully, I do. So I was able to record this. But, like I said, we're not going anywhere. We're on X. You can see the @ sign below, STS_pod. That is a 0, not an O in pod on X. It's still the same peeps. Jared May, me, myself, Hunter, Cuzzo, and the analyst. That's our group. And whoever you see on any of those game days or episode days, that's who you're going to see. There isn't no designated schedule for who's got to commit to one episode or not. Hunter could show up on a Thursday. I could not show up on a Thursday. Hunter could be there on a Sunday. It doesn't matter. The lineup does not change. The agenda stays the same, people. That's what I'm trying to get at. But I was going to kind of talk about Bronny James, but I really don't feel the need. That was nepotism. That's all I'll say. Clear as day, nepotism. Yeah, you ruined another young man's life that wasn't drafted, that should have been, and pushed him back to the undrafted rankings. He'll probably find his way to the NBA once Bronny gets cut, but that's all I'll say about that. And we'll have some more stuff to say. Training camp coming up, preseason coming up, fantasy football drafts coming up, college game day, the Notre Dame versus Texas A&M, all that sort of stuff. It'll be here in a jiffy. And we have a plan, people. We have a plan. I'll still be rocking the True Brand hat, so we still will be pursuing sponsorships of the sort. You guys can recommend what you guys would think that we could sponsor and shout us out. Talk to your friends, talk to your family folks if they know people. We're very gentlemanly, respectful guys. We do have a little bit of a language problem on this podcast every once in a while. Who gives a rip? I mean, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I talk about. If somebody wants to represent us, we would be more than happy to represent their product if it makes sense. We would have found a way to reach these episodes out to people. That way you find a more authentic and real podcast platform that not only incorporates live guests in the future to interview them on relevant questions, unlike what's your top 5 quarterbacks, more like what are their stories, where do they come from, who are they, and who do they represent now? So all those things in time will happen, and it's going to take a while for us to get that account base set up, but it'll happen. I have confidence. I pray about it all the time. And I'm not going anywhere. Neither is the kid. So we will be around. Stay tuned for this upcoming fall. We are very excited to cover football from all sorts of angles and October playoff baseball. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. This was a little sneak peek, kind of a pop in and say hello sort of thing, a little life update as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like I said, follow our socials below, STS Pod on X, or you can find us on STS Pod on TikTok or Twitter. Same difference all the way around. We're pretty organized and friendly. So we would love for you guys to interact with us and say what's up, give us ideas, give us questions, topics to talk about. I'd be happy to come on and talk about it with you guys. So you guys have a safe rest of your week. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll see y'all soon.